One second. What's our date today? And start with any public comment. Anyone who wants to address the board on anything that is not on the current agenda can come up and address the board. And I see no one coming forward, so we'll close public comment. Oh,
Is that for these?
just general public comment on anything. Okay, now we'll have the approval of the minutes of the previous board meeting. Can we have a motion to approve the?
I'll make that motion.
All right, thank you.
Second it.
Okay, seconded by Brian. I don't have anything in front. Yes, I do. Hold on.
We don't have the minutes. I
Let's
think
see.
the ones we have June 25th and.
What am I looking at here?
June
Okay, so these are the minutes for
June 18th.
June 18th, 2012. So we have number 136 San Rafael Avenue. Any comments or corrections? Okay.
Oh, wait a minute, is that the one on the agenda today? Or?
No, that's the
That's
minutes.
a different one?
Yeah, you went the one with the draft and the. As well.
Yeah, I just said, is that the same?
They were postponed 2 weeks.
Okay.
No comments on it. Okay. Number 2, 1913 Laguna Street. Any comments, corrections? Okay. Number 3, 15 Francisco Drive. Comments, corrections? Number 4, 80 Skyline Circle. Okay. And Michelle, and what about A and B here on this back side? The back side of that draft, consent calendar.
We're just looking at the minutes of the full board. The
Okay.
draft, or the consent minutes were approved last round.
All right, thank you. And now we would go to June 25th? Nope. Oh, we take a vote for approval of those minutes. All in favor, say aye.
No. Bruce came.
Okay. Bernie, did you vote?
Could we go back for 1 second? I have a question on page 6, item B. What happened with that?
That was the consent item that was ratified at the last full board meeting. That was approved as submitted of the changes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on to the consent calendar for June 25th. Sure. We have,
I so moved.
okay, thank you. And we have, you'll read that. I never know.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The consent agenda for Monday, June 25th, 2012, item A, 2465, Calle Monte. It's granted approval of the review after final with conditions. Item B, 917 Paseo Ferrello. It's granted project design approval and final approval with the NPO findings and with conditions. Item C, 1445 Mission Ridge Road, was granted project design approval and final approval with the NPO findings and with conditions. And that agenda was reviewed by Jim Zimmerman.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then we move on to any announcements.
Yep.
No announcements. Oops, sorry. Take a vote on that.
I called for the question.
All right, we'll have a vote for approval of the consent calendar for June 25th.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay. And we need a motion for the consent calendar for July 2nd. So moved, seconded by
I'll second it.
Brian.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The consent agenda for today, Monday, July 2nd, 2012. Item A, 1708, La Vista del Oceano. It's granted a final approval of the review after final. Item B, 218 San Clemente was granted final approval of architecture with conditions and continued for landscaping. And item C, 734 Arbolado Road was continued 1 week with comments. And those items were reviewed by Brian Miller, and Denise Woolery also reviewed items B and C.
Okay, thank you. So now we move on to any announcements.
I call for the question. Got to vote on it.
So, I'm going to get the hang of this sooner or later. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. Motion carries. Oh, now announcements, requests by applicants for continuances and withdrawals, future agenda items and appeals.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a couple announcements. I just wanted to let the board know that City Council appointed 2 new board members last Tuesday, June 26th. The new board members will be Jamie Pierce and Lisa James, and both will attend their first meeting of the next full board meeting on July 16th.
Wonderful. Very nice. Okay, any subcommittee reports? We don't really have any subcommittees at this time. Any possible ordinance violations? None of that. All right. Now, do we still have a waiting period for our first agenda item? All right. Then we'll have our, we'll call up 734 Sea Ranch Drive. What's on? Okay, so this, yes, I'll read the description. It's a concept review new item. This is a proposal for alterations and additions to an existing one-story, 2,230 square foot single-family residence with an attached 518 square foot two-car garage located on a 1.36-acre lot in the Hillside Design District and in the coastal zone. The project includes construction of a new 255-square-foot one-story, a new 265-square-foot second-story addition, the conversion of 167 square feet of the existing 518-square-foot two-car garage into habitable space, and the construction of a new 250-square-foot carport. A total of 920 square feet of new decks are also proposed. The proposed total of 3,518 square feet is 68% of the guideline floor to lot area ratio. It's a concept review, comments only. Project requires compliance with Tier 3 Stormwater Management Program prior to final approval. Could you introduce yourselves, please? Speak right into the microphone.
I'm Craig Burdick with Studio 1030 Architects.
Okay, thank you.
Hannah Bodick with Studio 1030 Architects.
All right, thank you. Welcome. And your presentation, please.
It probably doesn't matter. We can start. I'll start with the site plan. Basically, it's a 265 square foot second story addition, which is really just the master. It's like a master bedroom loft, actually master bath and closets down below, so that's why it's a small second-story addition. And then we're also adding on pantry, laundry room to the front here.
You can speak into here. There you go. Oh, it's not on. There you go. You'll hear it now.
And then what we're doing, there was as-built condition where the part of the garage was, they added windows and so forth. So what we were going to do is get it as as-built permit and use that as a studio and then put a carport out front here, all within the setback. And then the rest of it is a remodel with the exception of we're adding to the deck, there's about over 900 square feet of existing deck, and we're adding another 590. And then it's a kitchen remodel and a new entrance piece. And we'll probably redo the driveways in poor condition, so we're going to do concrete pads with gravel or rock in between and try to have some natural drainage within there, so it's semi-porous condition.
Okay.
And then, so,
Okay.
if you want, it's a little more clear probably from the... So this is the remodel where we're putting a new master bath.
It was the existing master bedroom,
Yeah.
and now it's kind of small, and it's ending up being closet and bath, and then the loft up above,
Yeah.
which is the new addition.
And we're also going to have a green roof on from the master loft, and some decking up there as well. And then this is the other addition with the laundry room and pantry, and we're remodeling the kitchen here. And then we have a new entry sequence.
And the laundry and pantry addition is actually inside an existing wall, so from the exterior it's popping up a little bit, but that wall that you see by the entrance is already there.
Yeah, this is all
So it's not changing the...
That's this one
footprint.
right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is where I was talking about. This is a studio office space. These were the windows that were put in without a permit, and so then we wanted to...
So it's the existing garage that you're converting.
Yes.
Yeah, part of that.
Yeah, so we'd still have this as a one-car garage and then the carport
I see.
outside.
Okay.
And other than that, we are adding larger, taking a couple posts out and putting large sliding doors here and one over here as well. So we're taking this post out as well, too. This is a great view down from there, so we wanted to remove a few of the posts.
And is this the line of the existing deck here? And where's the
It's
existing?
actually out here,
Yeah.
this one.
It's this one.
Yeah. This is
And
the
you're adding all
overhang.
of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're adding this over here.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, so this is the second floor, and so we're just having the bed, the bed here, and then a small kind of half bath closet, and then this is the new roof deck, and then this will all be green roof with drought resistant plants. And we kind of follow the houses, working with the horizontals and flat roofs.
And the new addition it goes with the terrain. If you look at, I actually have it, we got a elevation printed out with that 30-foot height. It's on, so you can see it kind of goes with this is the 30-foot limit. And we're way below that everywhere, and it even our addition kind of goes with the terrain to kind of make it as minimal as possible.
Okay.
These colors are a little off. the
Yeah, they're
printer.
kind of way too dark. You want to roll up.
So really, we're thinking
Like a light gray with
a light
No,
gray
couple.
with a, most of it's going to be stucco.
center
so-
here.
yes.
Better get it on the camera.
That
Okay.
one, the colors are too off on that one too.
So we're thinking charcoal gray for
So more like
garden
this.
Yeah.
and then a lighter gray. Blue. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be bluish or a warm gray. We haven't really decided.
Okay, and that's new colors, not matching existing or anything.
No, we're
Right.
thinking to do a smooth
Whole new.
trial plaster coat over existing.
Yeah, right now it's very rough.
Okay.
And the whole idea is just to kind of clean it up and go with kind of a mid-century, very
Okay. What's we have here?
So this is actually looking. This is way back. This is really the front.
twirl the model. if
You want to
wanna
get?
see that
Should we get the
elevation.
model on the?
Yeah.
On
Because it's
the
deceiving because that's in back.
let's look at that on the screen. Okay. Wow, it's some model.
So that's the addition, the second story, and the entryway gets raised up a little bit to give a little more accent. This is the carport addition, and here's the pantry and
And this is
And
your
laundry.
new extended deck.
Yes.
And can you point out which are the roof decks?
Just this piece here. So really,
And
kind of
which is
just.
the other deck, the...
Here,
It's right
So
down
that's-
there.
they're adding to their existing deck,
Yeah.
pushing it out further.
Yeah, there's already a deck, but we're adding.
Yeah, right
to
now
it.
the existing goes beyond the overhang about 3 or 4 feet.
So right about here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Help me out there. It's another elevation. Whoops.
Yeah, so these are 2 sections. This is a section going through the master bedroom. So we have clear stories, try to get some passive solar with the venting up there. This is the remodel here. We're pretty much keeping the same. And then this is the kitchen remodel in here. And then this is the living room where we've added these
Yeah, I mean,
larger.
apart from putting in a little bit bigger sliders, we're not changing the living room a lot. We're putting new windows and doors and
Yeah.
opening it up a little bit, but they're already existing glass.
Okay. Anything to say about this section?
This is the whole building kind of steps down as you go. So this is the entry is high. We kept the same roof level, and then the entry goes. It's kind of a gallery. We're thinking like a gallery entry, and then this goes right into an open kitchen, and
Okay.
the deck beyond. And this is just a larger section of the
Loft.
loft.
Master bedroom.
Yeah.
And when you look at the existing photos, we're also taking a lot of the walls have a little
Well, okay, hang on just a second. I
buttresses
want to see
on
what
it.
this is.
That's a
That we're
landscape
taking
plan.
Landscape.
We can maybe show them the new one. We're not doing too much with landscape right now. Basically, there's some existing stairs here that has pedestrian access from the street. But so we're just really just going to
redo.
redo
it.
the
you want the other
stairs. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's back one. I thought I saw it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so this would just be a raised like planter area here as you come down the steps.
Okay.
And then this is Grasscrete, the turnaround. And then we'll probably have another planter here with some bamboo.
Yeah, I mean, there's already a turnaround right there, and the driveway. We're basically just redoing what's there and fixing it up so it's not cracked and
Yeah,
And
and at this
old.
time, we're not really doing a big landscape, except for kind of just mainly the front area.
Okay. Thank you. That's about it then. All right. Public comment. We have some slips here.
We need to get a chair.
Yeah, well, we can set someone up right here. We have Bob Swanson from the Campanile Hills Homeowners Association. Oh, it said speak last. Well, sorry about that, I called you first.
Hello, good
Hello.
afternoon. I'm Bob Swanson. I'm the Homeowners Association Architectural Review Committee, the B team. We have examined this project. We have tried very hard to consult all the neighbors. We've had too many meetings. There have been some view considerations. But we support the project. There is one thing that I would respectfully request. Sea Ranch at that point is a rather dangerous S-curve, blind on both ends. That if we could ask the homeowner and contractor to try and keep parking on one side of the street or on site. There's very little site parking. But if you have parking on both sides of the street on that blind curve, it's going to be very nervous for the residents.
I understand.
So, I think you have some in-house provisions covering that. But we're satisfied that this is an improvement, and we support it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. All right, next we have Francis Kennett.
Yes. My main concern has been the addition of the second story and blocking some of my ocean view. And I was speaking to Graciana and David, and they have very graciously said that they would either trim or remove a tree that is blocking my way. So therefore, I'll be trading one view for another. And so I think that works out fairly for both of us.
Wonderful. Good for you. We're really happy to see cooperation like that.
Can we ask what type of a tree it is that
Yeah, what tree are we taking down?
it's a huge old pine tree.
Yeah, why don't you show us on the
I'm
plan?
sorry.
Where it is. Which one?
It's,
I'm pretty sure it's this one here.
here, I'll show you where it is. It's right there on the driveway.
it might actually be
Oh, you mean this one over here? Okay.
This is a thing between the neighbors that came about after we submitted this. We have not really.
So we haven't defined each tree, so it's got
I
to be
see.
one of these
Well, let's see,
two.
where does the driveway come in?
Yeah.
It's right here.
Okay, and then it'd be right just about in there.
No,
Yeah.
it's not right there.
It's this one then,
No,
probably.
Okay, then that one.
yeah, I think it's that one.
Okay, let's look
That's
on-
actually help.
Yes.
A huge
Let's see.
one,
Right.
yeah. Oh, here it is.
This
Thank
one?
you. It would be that
That
one
one.
right there.
That one. Let me put my finger on it and turn it around for the people on camera.
Right.
This one right there.
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to trim it down.
You're going to trim it down?
Trim it down pretty low.
Oh, okay. You're not removing it. You're trimming it down.
I think we're going to just trim it down.
Oh, okay.
quickly.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And now we have opened it up for comments from the board. Questions from the board, excuse me. Just two that I have.
Yeah, I think that was.
Missed somebody?
We have a letter.
Oh, any letters concerned?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We did receive a letter from Francis Kennett at 737 Sea Ranch Drive. Is that you? Okay, that was your letter. Okay, so yeah, this is regarding views.
We just talked about rules and regulations.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I actually have a couple
this off here.
staff comments.
Okay.
I just wanted to let the board know that this is for concept review comments only at this point. There's still a number of plan check corrections that we'd like to have addressed before action is taken on this project. Also, due to its location in the Hillside Design District and the amount of square footage added, it will require Tier 3 compliance with Stormwater Management Program prior to receiving
Yeah.
final approval.
Yeah.
And one other thing, the transportation planning staff reviewed the project, and they requested that the garage door be changed to a minimum of 8.5 feet wide, and they recommended a minimum perhaps 9 feet.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then to show a floor plan of the carport, including the time myself. A floor plan of the carport, including the unobstructed clear dimensions and the supporting
Yeah,
post
we've
structure.
addressed some of the comments that came from the plan check on this, and we can add it to the set, but we still have to get it through permit, so.
Yeah, we'll just wait until the next submittal to.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, and now it's to the board for any questions. Who wants to go first? Certainly.
Let's see. Several. You mentioned the green roof. What is your thinking for the planting material on the green roof?
We were probably going to use live trays, or live. I've got it specced on
The little 3 by or 4
Yeah,
trays?
it's out of Arroyo Grande,
Okay.
and
And then are you going to re-roof the other portions that don't?
we're re-roofing
What
everything.
material will that be?
That's going to be the Sarnafil.
Okay.
It's kind of a commercial roof, but we're
Yes,
going to try to get them familiar.
I know what it is. What
Yeah,
color?
we're going to do a light gray. We weren't going to go completely white because it'd be
Okay.
too.
And then, based on what you described, essentially you're skinning this entire house. Is that correct? And you're going to put new stucco on most all of it?
Yeah, we'll probably,
You're going to take the fins
sandblast
off.
it.
You're going to take a lot of the skin off,
Yeah.
and then you're going to put.
Well, most of it, some of it would just,
But based on what you've drawn, what I can see is that you're taking a lot of it off, and then you're going to replace. Looks like a lot of the windows. I can't tell from the photographs because you don't have a photograph of all the elevations. But using this as the example, what I see you doing is you're going to take all of this wood framing out of here and you're going to put a new window system in. What's the wood window system?
We were going to do a small profile like Fleetwood aluminum windows around the posts.
Okay.
We'll still keep
some of these are existing wood posts.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Okay.
And
so
then
we'll still keep the transom across here.
and then this wood beams across here. How are you going to? I couldn't. tell how you're
Those
gonna treat those. They're staying or being modified?
they're all staying.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll probably have to paint them. I don't think we could do any.
Okay, and then this whole deck is coming off, and the best I can tell on your sheets is it looks like you're using some round concrete bases, and then is that a wood right here? I may want to show it on that drawing.
Yeah, we were either going to use wood or steel from the pylon.
For the pylons, and then
No.
this is an open cable rail
Yes.
with a fascia wood around the bottom of that new deck.
Well, they're doing
We'd probably use they wanted to have actually a concrete deck up there.
Okay.
So
that might
we
have
would
a
probably-
different material treatment?
Yeah, we would probably we would probably match like our eaves and some of our flashing with like Rhine zinc, light, inert gray color.
Okay. And then referring back to this photograph, obviously this is changing, that's coming off.
Yeah.
You didn't say you were going to do much to landscaping, but obviously once you do all this work, that planter is probably going to get, what happens to that planter?
Yeah, that probably will go away.
So that would be some additional landscaping.
yeah.
And maybe this walkway? That's a question.
we it may come up next meeting. We haven't gone over. They didn't want to do too much with landscape right now.
I could
So
just
we're
see the
constantly trying.
fact you're going to skin most of this house, so at least the first few feet in front of that's going to get pretty well trampled once you scaffolding and everything else that has to go in there. Okay.
I have a feeling the owners are probably down the line going to do more landscaping, but of course during construction, some of it is going to have to be taken care of or fixed or
Yeah.
Okay?
protected.
And then, final question. So, based on what I thought I saw and what you said, this little second-story addition is not there currently, correct?
Right.
Okay. So that's the new piece.
That's the new piece.
And the deck that's just outside of that is new.
That's new, yes.
Okay. And the material on that decking look like to be wood planks or?
Yeah,
the
it'll
way
probably
you
be
draw
like
it?
Trex or something.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Brian? Bernie?
Thank you. Well, we appreciate that the neighbors are being considered and informed about this. I'm wondering, I have a couple of concerns. I'm not aware of any other houses in that development and in this price range that have a one-car garage and a carport. So I'm just wondering if our other board members feel that it meets our guidelines.
I'm just going to reserve that for comment.
Okay, so we can put that one on the back burner. And I'm really concerned about, it sounds like there's an agreement about the tree, but we have to really be specific about it. It's just,
Can I put, oh.
no, it says on. I don't think this is.
You're wait, it's too low, probably.
We have a drawing here showing the elevations of all the different houses, and the only house that is in back of here is up, her floor elevation is at 424, and we are at
3.9.
384 by the entrance level. The top of our roof on the new addition is going to be about 12 feet lower than her floor elevation. So there's no, of course you'll be able to see the house from this point, but it's not obstructing the ocean view.
It really is. I look right down through.
Oh, yeah, excuse me, ma'am, you really,
I'm
it's
sorry,
not time for your comment.
So of course all the neighbors will be able to see each other's houses, but it's not obstructing any views if you're looking at the ocean.
You can see it.
And I actually, this is taking from here up the street. I'm at the elevation, taking the photograph of Francis's driveway. And this is our project, is down there. I mean, you can't even see the house. And this is her driveway. And this is the neighbor to the other side. And this is taken from the other side. This is
And this
the
is
project and the road going up and the neighbor's house up above.
And the neighbors is a two-story with a gable, so it's much higher than our project. We've kept ours, the roof flat and as minimal as possible as far as square footage.
So as far as obstructing anybody's views, it's not
Pretty minimal.
the case.
Okay.
What do I call you, Miss Chair?
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, what often is a solution to this, kind of controversy or something is, as you move forward, if you sketch in the outline of where that is and how, where it is, and take a picture from where she is, sometimes that's helpful.
The homeowners association have had meetings. The owners have put up poles so that the neighbor could see it, and
You've already
they've gone
done
to
your due
extensive
diligence, yeah.
means to try and show the neighbors how high the project is.
Are the story poles up now, or?
No, they were just PVC that we had up with flags. The owner put them up. Tried it. So, I mean,
but as
we could do a section so you could see. When you had hard to do a site section.
But I mean,
here.
this is their corner lot is at the same elevation as the top of the existing house now. So we're adding this one story would come above this. Now the neighbor's house goes up the hill and is up at 424 elevation up here. I mean, it's almost a non-issue.
Yeah.
Well, for you.
What's the roof, top roof elevation? What did you said what it was?
It's a
411.
411. And this finished
That's her floor.
Floor
Yeah,
is at
or the
424.
Yeah, that's
grade.
plenty of clearance, yeah, okay. All right, let's move on to comments. Yeah.
Let's see. I think in general I can support the architectural style. What I would really like to see is some more photographs of all the elevations so I could see where the changes are. I kind of have a feel for what's going on, but I don't really quite understand everything that you're proposing. I am concerned about the carport issue. I think that in this neighborhood, that just puts more cars out on the street. And even though the carport is within the setback line or beyond the setback line and not in the setback, I just don't think, given the caliber of this home and the nature of this neighborhood, because one of the obligations we have as a board is neighborhood compatibility, that at least at the moment I'm going to have a hard time supporting that carport aspect of this application. I'm really going to be interested in seeing the actual colors and particularly seeing the landscape plan for the green roof, what those materials are, how that's going to be detailed, how it's going to be drained. And obviously, I'm knowing the product, I know generally what the gray color is of the Sonnefeld, but I'd like to see how that's going to be treated at the edge of the fascia. And also interested in seeing in the future, when you come back, how you're treating this balcony, the surface, the edge, the details, and the columns, whether steel or wood or whatever your material is. I'll be interested in looking at that. And I do think that we're going to need some indication of how the owner, whether now or in the future, is going to deal with the landscaping that's right up against the wall, the walls all the way around this house.
Yeah.
Because obviously, as that's constructed, there's going to be a lot of stuff torn out or damaged or whatever, and I think it would behoove us to make sure we understand what's going to happen, at least in that area, even if the owner chooses not to landscape other portions. I think that's all my comments.
Ryan.
I'm in kind of, looking at the model, and as Fred mentioned, it was a hard time understanding where it begins and ends. Actually, that's a positive aspect because you can't tell you're remodeling it. I think the finished product looks like the original home. I like the second floor addition. I think it adds a little more drama to the house. I, in general, can support it. I appreciate Fred's concern about the carport issue, but, in general terms, I could support the project. I think your remodel addition is very compatible with the existing style of the house.
Thanks. Bernie.
Okay, thank you. I think I'm on now. I don't have a whole lot to add. I also, as I already mentioned, I don't think the carport is appropriate for this neighborhood. I don't think it meets the guidelines. I don't think it meets the quality of the houses in the neighborhood. But other than that, I like the direction of the green roof, and the more we can see the colors and materials that go toward the organic and natural, for me, are more compatible with the neighborhood. It's mature landscaping everywhere, so I would prefer to see more organic colors rather than steel, but that's just my opinion. And I'm usually the only, maybe the only one that thinks that. So other than that, I think we appreciate that you didn't go too huge, and the second story, it's relatively modest for the lot. So I think I could move in the direction of supporting it with those changes. I don't see any fireplaces or chimneys. Are there no fireplaces or
Existing.
Oh, it's just the existing. So that's just. And I'd want to see. I'm not sure I understand how extensive the deck is all the way around. So I'd like to be able to understand that next time better. What it is. Here, why don't you point it out?
Put it up here.
Well, it's the size of what's on the
I think we have to get it on camera if we're talking about it. Thank you. There we go.
The existing deck goes a little further than our new deck, but then it's further in here. So we're adding deck extending well, replacing existing and making it larger
So
here.
this is like a cantilever deck, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is already there. It's in not in a good state, so we're tearing it out, and the new deck is going to be a little bit bigger. But it's same location, same height, you know.
And then there's the roof deck here
Right.
that is, how big is that?
I think 300 square feet.
And that's way back toward the back.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so in general, and then of course we always need to see what the window materials are if you're changing, and the colors of that, and et cetera. Are you changing the fireplace facade at all?
No.
No.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just maybe to help Bernie a little bit, I was reading the drawings, so I was trying to, this is identified as the eve line. if I read
Yeah,
it
that's
up
the
right.
eve line. This
What-
is the
what
deck.
oh, that's the deck line.
Yeah.
There wasn't a note on there, so I couldn't find it. But, okay, so that's the deck. And so, Bernie, everything from
We have to
this
get this on the
dotted
camera.
line out is the new deck.
From this dotted line.
Yeah, the furthest out dotted line.
So they're adding this wedge.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'll weigh in on it. I think this is a really lovely design personally. I really like how it comes down the slope. I think that's been it's been designed with great attention to detail and with great consideration of the topography, which I really appreciate. They look like good improvements to this house to me. The carport, yeah, I would prefer it to be garage. Would it be a deal killer for me? Probably not. But, you know, that's something we do try to discourage, is that kind of a treatment. And, you know, when we like to keep the cars, you know, well inside, if you can. Also, I was wondering if you spoke to the fire department about the green roof, because I've heard they're discouraging those.
Oh, are they really? No, we haven't
have
yet.
not.
So that might be something you have to rethink, just because
I
they.
know Westmont's putting on the same type of thing.
Well, that's really surprising in the fire zone that they're in.
No, that's why I'm thinking that.
Oh, yeah. So the city and county have different rules about
Yeah.
that. But the last time we had a client in front that was an applicant, excuse me, in front of us that was going to do one. The fire department said no. So just really research that. And
Okay.
next time you come, maybe you have an alternative to that in the event that you can't do it. So.
Well, in the event of them not being able to do it, it'd just be
It
a
would-
roof like what
right,
they have
regular
now.
roof, right.
Can I
Okay.
comment quickly on the carport? Or are we done with comments?
Sure, no, it's okay.
If that's an
If you
issue.
want to comment, but I'd like to pull my fellow board members on the carport issue.
Well, we can hear what she says, because, you know, we're struggling with the compatibility issue and the quality of construction issue.
Yeah. Well, can you scoot over? Thank you. This is the main view of
over.
this house. Oh, sorry.
Has to be on camera. Thank you.
The main view of this house is this way, and the garage, the view from the garage is magnificent. I mean, it's like the best view in the house. So the alternative to, and we were trying to do a conservative version of adding, you know, if we added a one-car garage right here, which would be legal, it'd be much more in your face. It'd be sticking out at you, and you're just looking at a carport closer to the street. And so some of our thought was that this is a very gentle, conservative way to go, and not, you know, take over the whole garage. We're just taking a little corner of it for a study. So it was trying to deal with the issue in a conservative manner, not and kind of elegant, trying to go with the neighborhood instead of like popping it out. So that was.
Thinking about it now, if this was a Spanish colonial home, I would not have a carport. But for this style home, I can go for the carport. I think it actually suits this style.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too.
Driving past here, you don't see, this is there's hedges, we have to trim them down, but the elevation here is, you don't really see down to the house at all right now. And, whoops. So, really, the vantage point is really, is if you're probably driving by the driveway is about the only time that you'll have a visual view of the
quick
carport.
shot in.
I mean, if that was the issue of seeing the car.
So if you pop up the garage, you'll see even more of that.
Yeah,
Yes.
but his concern was seeing cars, where I don't think you'll see the car at all, except for that one viewpoint right there.
I'm not, this is not the carport is not a big deal breaker for me.
Ah.
But can we go to the plan just for a second?
Go for it.
To the carport, or to the first floor plan?
Floor plan. We'll go back this way. Let's keep on going.
One more.
One more.
One more. Keep going. There we go. Okay. One of the thoughts I had is, just, and this is something you might talk with your client about, is taking this studio office, this is, I think, about 12 feet wide, and turning it that way, and then creating a garage that only will come out to about right here. Still holding on to a big window wall here, and creating your garage there. Just something to consider. I'm not hung up on carport or no carport. I am concerned about, as I always am, about cars in front of houses, as we are in all of our neighborhoods. So that's, I think, to that degree, kind of drives it. But on this particular project, I'm not totally hung up on that. So, Madam Chair, I'm ready to make can we make a motion of just comments?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like it continued indefinitely or 2 weeks? If it's indefinite, then you can just call up and get it on the schedule.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. 3 weeks would be better, but I know it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You're gone.
Just all you. Go for it.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Just
Okay,
we-
so indefinite.
We cover
Okay.
all the
So
issues.
my motion will be based on an indefinite continuance, the applicant to return. Let's see. Let's start with, we appreciate the design. I think the board, my understanding, and everyone is complimentary of the design approach, and thinks that it will be overall compatible with the neighborhood. When you do return to us, obviously, if you'd like to advance approval process, one of the things we'd like to see is a color board
Yeah, we
with the
definitely-
color materials, particularly the window systems, the color of the window systems. I, for one, at least in my part of the motion, would encourage the green roof. I think that's an excellent way to deal with these large expanses of roofs. So whatever you can do to convince the fire department would be cool. We'd probably like to see some indication of how landscaping is going to be treated around the immediate confines of the house. We'll be interested in the details of the new balconies, or the new balconies, its support system, and then also the detailing of the roof fascia and the new deck that's off of the second floor addition. And I think unless someone else wants to add something, that's it.
Let's see, I'll second that motion. And then I think it's already on here, though, stormwater management. And then maybe if that tree trimming is going to be for sure with the neighbors, we'd like to have some details about that specifically. Because it sounds like it's an older, substantial tree for the neighborhood. I'm not sure. Anything else? That's all I've got.
That's pretty good.
So I'll accept that as my motion. So yeah, if you could just maybe define, how much are they going to trim it down and what that might look like. And then obviously the stormwater management, if you clear everything else, if you have that at the next time, then we can move faster through the process.
I would just like to say one thing about the carport. It's not only people are always coming in here and say, oh, you can't see it from the street, or, but it's not really that. It's just once it's allowed, then the next neighbor can do it, and then the whole neighborhood can have carports based on the precedent. So that's why, for me, I really want to make sure that it fits.
Well, I understand your point, but like I said, if a Spanish colonial house came in, I don't care. I just don't think that would be appropriate. But in this particular style of house, and I don't like this style, just to put on record, but I think it works for this style of house.
Well, then maybe if we could see the quality of how it's going to be constructed, because on here it just, it's hard to tell. It doesn't look substantial. It doesn't look like it's well built. But maybe if it is, maybe we could make the findings.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we have a second for that motion?
I second it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, you seconded already. That's correct. Thank you. All right, then. We'll have an indefinite continuance, and we'll have a vote on that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. We'll see you upon your return.
Thank you.
Thanks for keeping me on track, Fred.
Do you want us to leave some of these, like the landscape drawing?
I think we.
Well, this one didn't have the good color. Do you have the other one somewhere? I don't know, the printer seems to print differently than our.
Let's put that together. And these. Oops. All this together.
I don't know.
I'm forgetting everything.
Oh, that one, yes.
I don't know. I know it's all over, but anything about the parking on one side of the street, is that, that's not your purview?
That's not really our purpose. But we did take note of it, and I'm sure staff will add that to the process.
Unless the association can do something about it.
Oh, you definitely could. They do in Hope Ranch.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, our next property is, well, we're right on time, 136 San Rafael Avenue.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
before we move to the next one, just a question to staff on the issue of parking during construction on the last applicant. When that comes back to us, can that come back with a staff recommendation on the parking?
Yes.
Please. Thank you.
Yeah, come on up.
We're ready.
Okay, so this is a concept review, new item.
Second concept.
Well, I don't have second on there. I see, it's kind of cut off my sheet. This is a proposal for a facade and interior remodel and an 108 square foot first-story addition to an existing two-story, 1,877 square foot single-family residence and a 365 square foot attached two-car garage located on a 6,100 square foot lot in the non-appealable jurisdiction of the coastal zone. The proposal includes replacement of exterior siding, new roofing material, replacement of doors and windows, adding a new roof over the existing second-floor deck, a new ground-level deck, and site landscaping. The proposed total of 2,332 square feet is 86% of the maximum required floor-to-lot area ratio. And here we have our minutes from the last meeting on the 14th of June. Yeah, is this? It's here. It's all this. Oh, on the 4th. Oh, I see. Okay, so we continued this 2 weeks to the full board with the following comments. Number one, the board generally found the proposed contemporary architectural design to be acceptable. We asked for the applicant to provide finished materials and details of the front terrace, provide a landscape plan including planting details and around the front terrace. On the south elevation, study breaking up the vertical plane with a horizontal element. Study design alterations to minimize the overall massing of the proposed roof element above the existing roof deck. Suggestions included to consider a horizontal element and appropriate post/columns to support the roof element. Specify all proposed improvements at the existing roof deck, including the countertop location, configuration, and details. Provide chimney cap details. Provide locations and details of all proposed windows, and provide a solution if the round window on west elevation is to be eliminated. Provide complete architectural drawings of all elevations rather than renderings. Provide a complete site plan indicating all site improvements. Provide photographs taken from the existing deck looking down into the adjacent yards, and provide a sample of the proposed wall material in lieu of stucco.
Wow. I just might make a couple staff comments before the applicant begins his presentation. I just wanted to let you know that the last time this was reviewed, it was reviewed just for a concept action. Comments could have been taken at the time. It's now back for comments only. The applicants have since prepared a survey and thus identified that the front portion of their residence is existing legal nonconforming and encroaches into the required front setback. So now we're, as the applicant will discuss in the presentation, the project now is requesting a zoning modification for alterations within the setback. We'll look to the board to make modification findings, and if we're ready, forward to staff hearing officer, and then to return to the full board or consent after.
Thank you. Okay, could you introduce yourselves, please?
My name is Robert Foley, and this is Nick Swenson. He's the owner. So as she said, as we went back and got the survey, we found out that the front portion, you can see on the front page, a portion of the front was in the front yard setback, which all the old maps and all the other ones showed it on the 20-foot line. And I suspect most of the street is the same way. So we didn't really evolve the drawings that much because at this
Can you
point...
push that button lower?
We didn't involve the drawings too much further. We tried to address some of the comments you made at the last hearing. I have some photographs. We revised the roof over the second-story deck. We pulled that back. We took photographs from the deck looking into the neighbor's property. There's 3 copies here if you guys want to see them. So that's looking, there's 2 photographs looking down, actually 3 photographs looking down from the deck into his yard. And this is looking down the street. And then this is something different. So that's basically what he can see when he's up on his existing deck looking down into his neighbor. The neighbor's been noticed, he's talked to him, he doesn't seem to have a problem with the roof. As you can see on this photograph here, I did a little simulation of the 2. There's this little bump out right now that makes the roof extend even further. We're taking that bump out. We're losing that square footage on the second story. So the roof is only coming over about 7 feet from where it is now. And that will allow them to have some sunlight on their porch and also have some protection from the weather, the rain, and a little bit more comfortable to sit in the shade when it's on a hot day. I have a chimney detail that I did. It's just a simple. We're going to use a dark gray standing seam roof, which will have the same. This cap will cover the existing Spark Arresta. It looks like one of those little spaceships that you have up there. And so this would just sit on top of it. And it'll be the same color as the roof. And it's just a simple. What were some of the other things?
Siding examples?
These are examples of the made from recycled paper. And it's environmentally, I guess that's good, thoughtful.
It's the longest warranty that's out there, too. 15-year, and which is everything else seems to be 3/4 of that. And so it's covered with a warranted UV product, and so we don't want to put something on and have to replace it. So that's the idea.
So that portion would be the darker colors, and then that would be mixed in with the plaster. And those areas, exactly how that's going to be broken up and stuff, we haven't explored that completely, because once we found about the mod, we were like, well, wait a minute, take one step at a time. Let's not go into working drawings and details until we get past the mod. So that's why we didn't bring all that stuff in.
I brought the mod up for I volunteered it. I did my own survey and figured it out. And I thought if we're going to go start from scratch, they thought it was 20. They had plans. They had the second story done, but back then it was just handwritten, assumed 20 feet.
Oh,
and put in.
yeah, you're not on mic, so
That's fine. Oh, I'm good.
you have to be on the
Am I
mic.
on the mic?
Yeah,
Here, this one?
yeah. And turn that. You can
Is that better?
Yeah.
So at this point, we have a scheduled hearing for the 25th for the mod. And since the time you have seen it, we did have doors going out the front and had a patio out here, which staff said they couldn't support. So we revised it, have the doors come out the side now, and have a window in the front and no patio in the front. And that's just all landscaping out front. And this is just a small deck on the side of the house. And the reason for this is this gets all the best sunlight and all the best views of the ocean. It's more neighborly. The backyard is in the north side of the house. It's it's dark. It's just not where you want your kitchen and where you want to be around. So we have a place for the kids to play back here. You know, we have a preliminary landscape plan. If you guys want to look at this, it's just basically I don't know if you can see that. It's pretty small. But there's a lawn, fire pit, and a hot tub in the driveway. But mostly it's. Do you have a bigger copy?
A little bit bigger. These are bigger.
Okay.
They're rolled up.
We have some new trees in front of the house, some new trees in the back, a lawn, a deck here, spa, fire pit. So these are more private things that we play out in the back of the house. And over here we have the kitchen and the dining room, which gets the nice sunlight.
I had my landscape architect put the plants in for me as well. What he's thinking. We'll be burying drums too and catching the water from the roof. But we haven't designed because we haven't figured out. My landscape architect he's going to figure out where the best spot for that is and working with the geologist so I'm coming on for drainage.
Okay. Do we have any public comment? Doesn't look like we have any slips on this particular project. Is that all for your presentation?
I think that covers it, yeah.
Okay. Then we'll, excuse me?
Just going to make another staff comment related to the modification. The modification planning staff would just be looking for the board to specifically comment on regards of neighborhood compatibility regarding the alterations to the front of the residence and the proposed deck and outdoor living space in the front yard.
Okay. Okay. Questions from?
Well, can I just say one thing? We eliminated the living space in the front yard.
We eliminated all that.
Oh, okay.
It's gone.
But what about the deck?
The deck is not in the front yard setback.
It's not going to be, it's not in the setback?
No, it's
No.
10 inches. It's going to be concrete. You had asked about the product, and we had the deck, but all it is basically a porch. Now it's going to be poured concrete.
You have to put the microphone in front of you.
It's going to be poured concrete.
Sorry, we're on
We
the
hope.
air.
If you let us.
All right, then. So questions from the board?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just on the modification issue, on this, excuse me, right there, so is that part of the deck that you're proposing?
That is part of the deck, so I guess
So
that
the
would
setback line is here?
That is the setback line.
So
yeah.
you'll be requesting that as part of your modification?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's less than 10 inches
But
of
it's-
deck, and it's less than 3.5 feet of wall. So I understand we still are allowed to do that, right?
Yeah,
Without
that is
a mod.
exempt from a mod because it fits the height requirements.
I guess then, no, we won't be requesting.
Well, I mean, I'm just asking. I really
Yeah.
don't have a problem one way or the other.
I
And-
do think they'll take that into consideration when they look at it, though.
Your chimney cap proposal, your little sketch you had for your chimney cap, you're
Yeah.
saying that is sheet metal?
That'll be
Same
made out
material
of the
as
same
the-
material as
as
the
the
roof. And then it will just be a square box. that
And
will
what's
fit over
the
top.
screen material?
The screen will just be a black wire mesh that will, keep the sparks from coming out.
And so it'll be basically soldered, mitered? How are you doing the joints?
At this point, I'm not going to go into that much detail because it's just something I want
You're
to
going to
give
have
you a
somebody
concept.
make this thing for you.
Yeah, we'll detail it out and have the roofer make it for us.
The roofer can make it.
Okay?
Okay. else?
Yeah, I have a question.
Brian?
On these two elevations, this little hook here, you're taking that out, that funny little...
Yeah, it's this little,
So
I'm
you're
not
kinda-
even sure why they did that,
Yeah.
but we'll correct that once we get it a framing. We'll just either lengthen this or cut that back when I look at it a little closer.
Okay.
I'm going to take the telephone pole out too.
And this is pretty...
No, I'm just kidding.
These, yeah, these are the same roofs,
Yeah.
basically.
Is the roof
The
getting
roof's
bigger,
haven't-
taller, or is the roof the
Th-
same?
This roof is not getting any taller. This portion right here is going to be extruded out
Right.
about 7 feet, and that's it. But if this portion of it is actually going to get lower. If you look on the east elevation, you can see that it actually drops.
Dropped it so it looks less bulky from the
Should we
street
look at
too,
that?
so it looks low. That window has leaked water since it was remodeled in the early 80s. So a lot of this is going to take weather off that window.
Oops, sorry.
That's the existing.
Nope.
See this here. See, it drops there, and
that
it,
Bernie?
the line drops as it comes across here as well.
It's a little lower.
The west elevation is pretty much existing.
The west is existing except for we're going to change the windows and doors.
Okay.
But the fireplace is there.
Yeah.
Okay, any more questions? Bernie?
Is the garage going to work as a garage? Is it going to open?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
it's going to fit
Is
2
the
cars.
laundry in the garage?
We're moving it into the house, make it more efficient, make more room for the cars to get in and out. And the water heater's going to get out of there too, so we can actually park 2 cars.
Okay. Anything else? All right, then moving on to comments.
Let's see, I appreciate your effort to deal with the deck canopy, because last time it was all the way out, and I really appreciate the fact you pushed it back. But I think the current solution is, in my view, rather awkward. It could be a little bit more elegant in the approach of how to put the cover over that, and I appreciate the need to have that roof over there to protect those doors and protect the sun directly hitting all that glass. So, but I'm just not convinced that that's the most appropriate solution. The geometry really bothers me. The other piece that we had asked you to look at, and I remember it being my comment before, was, I keep reaching in front, Brian, I'm going to go around it, was this whole facade here. I'm just not convinced that that's compatible with the neighborhood, particularly if we're supportive of you getting a modification, which I am. I don't have a problem with getting that thing corrected, just realizing that historically, somebody did something different. But I am concerned that if we do see this modification, that this is just, it feels too commercial. And particularly if you add this material that you're proposing, which I'm not terribly convinced that it's going to be appropriate, even though it has a warranty, et cetera. I'm concerned about how you detail the edge conditions, delamination, the shininess of this, in the sunlight. I'm just not convinced that on a residence that's the appropriate material in this particular neighborhood. I know we've seen that material on a couple other applicant houses that we've had, but they were in different neighborhood conditions and in different settings. So I'm not terribly convinced about that material. I'm not. I just don't think that elevation is there yet.
Thank you. Brian? Want to weigh in?
I don't know. It's kind of an eclectic neighborhood. I'm thinking the existing house is pretty not very nice. I mean, it's okay, but it's not what you'd call it's your standard remodeled tract house. So I think what the client's trying to do is add a little flair and excitement to the house. I do want to see a little more study of this elevation. I don't quite understand. I see the materials you want to use, but that would be interesting to see how you explore those possibilities. And I'm not against it. I don't understand how that siding would be applied to the house. Is it going to be like shiplap or?
No, there's sheets, and then there's edge details to it, which
So it's like a flat sheet, a giant, a solid.
Well, you can break it up into any size, shape,
Yeah.
and size.
Horizontal slats.
They are.
It's clean contemporary. We can go wood, which may be more appealing to some here, but in which case it will delam and it will fade and it will need to be stained. And we're
Well, I
choosing a
think
matte finish.
See, there's
It
not
won't
enough
be shiny.
information on this elevation
Correct.
to really.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
I
that's
can't
fine.
really give you a fair opinion. I guess I'm in general supportive, but I'd like to see a little more detailed information of how you approach. And as far as the roof over the patio, I have no problem with that. I think that's fine. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one question before I start. Is the garage door, is that glass or glass? Okay. So I'll just make a couple of comments. I think most of the people on this board know that this neighborhood was the whole reason why we're here.
Yeah.
This neighborhood by the ocean, small houses, small lots, is really threatened, and it's our obligation as these projects come before us one after another, at quick speed. We have to look at them really carefully, very carefully. And first of all, the roof covering, it's not counted in the square footage. So what we have is we have a house that's slightly larger than the maximum as it's proposed, 86% of the FAR on a small lot. And then the proposal to put a large covered, really it's an outdoor room, and it has a lot of noticeability from the street. So I'm not sure that meets our guidelines. I like the fact that they're trying to use organic materials and the quality is there, so I'm not sure about the color, if this is an actual color or what, but I would want to see more clarification on that. So really that's my biggest concern, is trying to get a deck covered up there that doesn't count in the FAR. It might be too much development for this site.
Thank you. All right, I'll weigh in on this. I have to agree with Fred about this particular elevation being the face of the house. Seems unresolved to me as well here. Something about these window configurations that just doesn't seem to be working out. Also, I guess I'm the only one who's going to weigh in on this material, but I just really don't get it. It just looks like a countertop, like a Formica countertop. I can't even envision this on the face of the house. I mean, I love that it's eco-friendly, but I mean, I look at it and it clearly looks fake to me, and it looks plastic, and I just can't imagine it on the face of the house in the proportion that you have it. Also, on the landscape plan, there's a Stipa tenuissima, which is an invasive grass. So it's on our do not plant list. So if you can ask your landscaper to come up with an alternative to that, that would be a very appreciated thing. The roof over the deck, I find it's heavy. It's 7 feet. It's not that big, but it does create a lot of mass on the top of the house. And I was kind of hoping that you would have come back to us with an alternative on that, but looks like you really want this. I know we were asking you to look at that and look at the bulk that it creates on the roof. Other than that, I think I would still like to see some alternatives to this, if at all possible. You seem to really want to go this direction, but I can't say I'm sold on it, honestly. I can't really support that. The mod, I'm complete support of that for you to get going.
What I sense some of us are uncomfortable with is the geometry that's being proposed, and I don't sense that anybody's uncomfortable with the very contemporary approach to what you're trying to do. I think that could be quite attractive. But if you're looking at the roof shape, if you're looking at the roof shape like this, maybe, and this is sloping roof, and I think the chimney cap's over here somewhere, and this is the deck. Maybe if you looked at a solution that gave you a roof cover on the deck and then repeated that language somehow on the front of the house, I think, and using all the contemporary language that you've introduced here, I think maybe if you thought about that consideration, maybe that's an approach that might be a little bit more palatable, certainly, to Bernie and maybe a couple of the others on the board. So that might be something you might want to look at.
Okay.
I was going to weigh in that maybe there'd be a cross beam with a truss system, but I don't know if the board would support that because you're all saying that's a very aggressive roof system. But
So I think that would make it look even heavier.
heavier,
It would.
yeah.
I mean, if I can add, I grew up in this house. I've seen that water rush in for years, and this was approved by, maybe not you guys, but it was approved, went through the permit process, and here we are with this issue. Now I'm trying to take water off of that deck, and I've researched canopies and everything possible, but visually it won't be appealing, and I find a product that I'm going to have to continuously replace over and over. And I understand what you're saying. We looked at a flat option, then we have issues with water piling on, and then we maybe a non-roof-like material, more of a trellis, and then we still have water. So we've been really researching it. We've changed the use of the deck. See, it was approved as a living room, family room, and what we've done is we've created a master suite. So we're taking a lot more use off of there as well. So it's not something we're going to be entertaining on. I don't want people walking through my master bedroom. So we're taking people off of the deck in terms of numbers on average, and I can pretty much guarantee that because I know that my wife's not going to want them coming through my app, leaving. That's why we're doing entertaining downstairs. Mm-hmm. And that's why we're having an issue.
Right.
I understand what you're saying, but
I appreciate the issue with the doors. I had the same problem in my house, and I ended up doing the same kind of thing. I just think that and I agree with Bernie in that this entire neighborhood was kind of the precipitation of why this board exists. And so, I think you're introducing visually a heavy element. And even Brian is kind of approaching using the same thing, but using maybe a different way to construct it. But I think if you take a different tact of the geometry, you might come up with a much more elegant design. Solve your keeping the water out of the windows and doing all the things you talked about. I think there's a solution there, but I don't know that this is it just yet.
Okay, so where do we go from here? We have to go to a hearing in a couple of weeks for the mod. The mod is basically just to get approval for the new windows?
3 windows.
Just allowing that piece to sit out.
Okay, so do I hear that you're comfortable with us going to do that and then come back to you with a design?
I think what the board is saying, they don't like this roof here. It has to be a different approach because they're saying it's too aggressive. That's what I'm
Come
hearing.
up with it.
Yeah. Well, consider too, does it have to stick out 7 feet in order to handle the water issue? That's another thing to talk about.
Well, the reason we brought it out that far was the 15-foot rule. We brought it back to the 15 feet.
Madam Chair, I think what I hear the applicant asking is there's a little guidance about how they're going to approach this.
Right.
My sense from the board is we don't have a problem with the modification.
No. Right.
We're saying go ahead and get that accomplished, do what you need to do. Then when you come back, take that list that we gave you last time and make sure those things are covered, and then give us perhaps a different approach to that roof cover on the deck and address, as I think we requested last time, the front elevation again. And I think if you're able to deal with that, bring us back a color board that actually shows that material you're proposing and how it's going to integrate with the other material, the stucco, whatever the window materials are. I think if you can bring those back, then we probably can move a little faster and move the project forward.
Okay.
Madam Chair and board members, also, just to let you know, I think you said you're going to the staff hearing officer on the 25th. There's still one meeting. You could come back, give them a 2-week continuance if they feel they could resolve this in 2 weeks and present one more time before going to the staff hearing officer.
Yeah. It's up to you.
Fine. I mean, I have no idea how to change the roof. I'm at a loss. Any recommendations would be great.
I have some
recommended
ideas.
siding options that you prefer for the cladding too. I mean, we're kind of shooting in the dark here. You know, this is a very common cladding product. If you go on the website, you can see how it could be really well done, and it's not just one big giant chunk. These are
The issue is, though, we didn't get enough information.
correct.
You're
I understand.
explaining
Yeah,
it
I'm just
now.
trying to get help.
And this is, like Denise says, it looks like a countertop. So you're introducing something. Your elevations do not tell us what you're doing. It kind of gives a...
Correct.
It's too
So
big.
I'm just looking for input as to what you want to see.
I wasn't prepared to come here to talk about. I was prepared to come here and talk about the nod.
Okay.
They're just trying to get
Yeah, I know,
Gotcha.
one step at a time.
But
We'll
at
take
least
your
now you kinda
comments.
know.
We know about this. We'll come up with a better presentation as far as what that front will look like.
Okay.
We'll have a better presentation for the color board, and hopefully we'll have a roof design that everyone will be just thrilled to see.
What I might suggest when you come back, which I think will be helpful visually for the board, if you can come back and bring a photograph of that material in a residential application.
Yeah, that would be
Okay.
really helpful.
That might be
'cause
pretty
I'm-
helpful. Then we
I
can
can't
kind of see
possibly
that.
get it from
Yeah.
these two
And then
samples.
also, speaking of photographs, it's helpful for me, and I think for the other board members, is put your house down in whatever solution. Hopefully, it's going to be more modest than this one for this roof covering, so we can see the next door neighbor here, and then you, and then the next door, and how it just fits right in there. It doesn't stand out.
In other words, a street elevation with your neighbors on each side and maybe down the block.
Okay.
Okay, so we need to make a motion to send them forward to their modification officer. Anybody want to
I'll make
do
a
that?
motion to move the project to the staff hearing officer, and also to continue the project for 2 weeks to return to the full board and address the comments that we spent the last half hour talking about.
You can't do
I
that.
can't do that.
So
to continue the project with the understanding that previous comments from the board are still in effect, and we'd like added to those a new solution or a better understanding of the cover over the roof deck, and we'd also like an explanation of the front configuration and how it meets the guidelines and the materials and the colors that are going to be used.
In the landscape.
And we'd also like a landscaping detailed plan
Well, we
for,
have that.
with the
Yeah,
changes
just
that,
a change in the sticker.
that comply with the
Invasive plant guidelines.
invasive
I
plant
think you threw that
guidelines.
in just to test you. You caught him right there. Boom.
Boom.
I'll call him yellow.
Did I say the color? Okay.
We'll have a color board.
Okay.
Give you a better idea.
Okay, so.
Now,
we
is
have
that
a-
something we should do before, in 2 weeks? Or should I just come back and show you some alternate designs for the roof and that, and then I'll handle the details and the colors at final? I'm not,
25th, July.
July 25th, yeah. I mean, it's up to you, up to the applicant, really. I mean, if you guys.
It's up to you guys.
Want to see them in 2 weeks before they proceed to the modification officer, or.
Would it be better just to wait till you get your mod done and then come back and come to everything?
it's sort of piecemeal, yeah. There'll be a few things that I'll have, and then there'll be a few things you'll be wondering about, and then is there a crossover between those two things? And I think it might be better if we get them on and I come back afterwards with more complete package.
Okay.
Once we get the mod and we know that we have the project, and then we can get further into
So
it.
I
So
think,
continue
I mean,
indefinitely.
the typical process would be that the board was generally favorable of the project and supportive of the modification. I hear you guys are having some struggles with some of the design-related issues, but you have no aesthetic issues with the proposed modification. So maybe just add a comment to the motion that says the modification is not aesthetically an issue, but they're going to continue to resolve some massing and materials details, something in that regard. That you're generally supportive of the project, but are looking for further refinement on the materials and details.
Sounds great.
Yeah, we could add that. Are you changing the driveway
The driveway material will
Yeah.
be changed, yes,
to,
to either a grass or a combination of a grass and pavers or something like that.
so does that go into the landscape plan, the grass and that irrigation and all that type of stuff? Okay. So,
So you want to, so first of all, we didn't even get a second to her motion, so let's get that first. Okay. And then, under further discussion, we'd like to say that the board is favorable about the modification and just wants some extra attention paid to some certain design elements, such as the siding, the south elevation of the property, and the roof over the second-story deck.
And I look forward to seeing how this is applied.
Me too.
Cool, so do I.
Yeah. See how
I'm losing
So,
confidence
can we
whether
have
I'll
a
get it
vote?
applied.
Do we have a vote on that motion, please? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Can I have that stuff? Does that stay with you? Or can
Oh, well, no, you will bring it back with your color board when you just affix one of them.
Yeah, we're not 100% sold on this product. This product isn't stable, so we're still selling it around, but it is going to be fake because it's not real wood. So
Yeah.
as long as,
Yeah.
we're not trying to mimic wood. We're trying to mimic a color and just a different design element that'll last the block to the beach. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Appreciate it.
This goes with that, please. This is yours. Sorry, trying to clear the decks. Okay, moving on to 1642 Calle Canyon. You'll both position yourself in front of the microphones.
Okay.
And please introduce yourself.
Gil Garcia. That's Charles Mugler, the owner.
All right, thank you. And let's see here. Oh, hold on 1 second. Okay, so we have a new item, concept review. This is a proposal to construct a new split-level 1,812 square foot residence with an attached 568 square foot garage, a 312 square foot workshop, and a 922 square foot basement located on an approximately 5.9 acre lot in the Hillside Design District. The proposal includes a new detached 1,291 square foot, two-story, two-car garage/barn. Two single-family residences and an accessory structure currently exist on the project site. The proposed total of 4,444 square feet of new construction, in addition to the existing 2,121 square feet of the existing residences, is 85% of the guideline floor-to-lot area ratio. The project requires staff hearing officer review for a performance standard permit for 3 single-family residences on 1 lot. The project will also address violations in Enforcement 2012-00027. This is comments only. Project requires environmental assessment and staff hearing officer review for a requested performance standard permit. Okay. Photos and a photo key, maybe we should start there. All right, let's start here. Your presentation, please, and we'll start with your photos.
tell me the numbers, I'll hand them to you. I guess we'll start with number 1.
Number 1, okay,
If you want to,
that'd be fine.
okay.
Number 1 shows the area, the kind of flat
You
area
have to turn them
of the
this way.
site. Let's see how you want to turn them, like this? or
No, you
here?
turn them so the camera can, yeah, this way.
Got them?
So just to clarify, this is up up the road, you're not doing anything to the hillside there. You're up on top,
We're up
the driveway.
That's
Okay,
correct.
all
That's
right.
correct. And this, number one, shows the area there, the flat area on top. Number two, then looking up the hill towards the tree canopy.
2.
Number two, let's see, that was number three, I'm sorry, yeah. Number three, up the tree canopy, number two. Well, number
Looking
two and
down
three are
slope.
kind of a panorama of the tree canopy.
Okay.
Number four, again, looking at the flat area. So we're actually just looking at the site itself, number five, and off the flat area, and then looking out over the edge.
Number
Number six, again.
Number 7. And what are we looking
Number
at there?
7 now begins to look at one of the existing houses here,
Okay.
one story.
Number 8.
Number 8. Where's
here.
number 8? Yeah, right here. Looking out
Okay.
back. Let's see on this one. You can. Yeah, it's just looking out the wooded area. You can't even see the houses here, but it points towards the houses. Number 9. And just you can see it's just a wooded site, natural system. There's an existing concrete pad here, right?
Yeah.
And we're just looking at what used to
That's
be an
where
old
the
garage.
garage burned
Garage
down.
used to be burned down there, yeah,
Okay.
at the top there. And this is one of the units here. Look, 11 here. What do we see there? That's the
Here, we're going to drive the camera around.
facing this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is a
What is that?
What is this
Didn't even
structure?
notice that.
It's a storage shed that would be removed.
removed, to be
Okay.
removed.
It's not showing on the
Number
topo.
12.
Number 12. Yeah, just looking out again,
Okay.
similar to
13.
yeah, 13.
Looking at that structure
Looking
again.
at that structure again, yeah.
14.
14, looking at the wood pile.
Looking at the wood pile. All right. 15, looking out at the view.
Yeah, 15 is out, looking out here. This is what you see
So
out
looking
across the
north.
valley here to another hillside over
Your
there.
north view.
Yeah,
16, more of the concrete pad.
yeah, that's that concrete pad again.
17,
And 17,
same
again,
spot,
that's
basically.
cars parked in the concrete pad, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's facing this-
Facing this way,
Yeah.
facing down the road.
18, now we're moving down slope.
18 is a downslope looking up at the end of this building here.
Okay. 19, looking back
19,
up
just
the
up
road.
the road,
Back up the driveway.
the driveway.
20, looking down the driveway.
Right.
Yeah, toward the street.
There's the street.
21. Okay, and then we have 22
That's down at the street.
and
Yeah.
23. Okay,
Okay?
very rural setting.
Yes, very rural setting with hardly distance of house view here. These houses back here, I can hardly see anything here because of the wooded site. So
Okay.
not much view of this site from the
It's a
neighbors.
very big site.
Yes.
Actually, there would be, the only view would be the houses way off.
Yeah, way off in the distance. We saw a picture of those houses.
Okay.
These are the statistics here showing the existing square footage and this proposed square footage. You read a lot of that information. This shows the existing houses, this building C, D, and E, and then we have B and A being the proposed residence and the garage barn in that location. About here was where that patio, that
The pad
garage-
was.
the pad was, right,
Right.
in that area.
Kind of.
Yeah, yeah, extends it that way. This is new paving, but the existing road is coming on from the street below. We are, just to get the radius in here, we are cutting in around that area here, there will be a retaining wall here. just to be able to get around this thing. That retaining wall will be probably at the maximum height about 8 feet, but drops off rapidly in both directions to
I
about
don't
5 feet.
understand, where is this?
This is right off the street, kind of, the bottom of the street.
Right here, probably, right?
So you're
You saw-
proposing an 8-foot retaining wall?
At the highest point, it rises up to a 8-foot point high here, and then falls back down again as it comes down.
On the street,
On
on
the-
Calle Canyon?
Off of Calle Canyon, and that's
Actually,
to
this
make
is-
our
this is more it,
radius.
Yeah, I understand.
Is this about the location?
Mm-hmm.
Right in here.
Madam Chair, board members and applicants, I just wanted to verify that you are observing the 20-foot distance from the street frontage and 10 feet on either side. In that location, it cannot exceed 3.5 feet in height.
We have, the topography, I think, allows us to start out fairly low here, and then rises up to about 5 feet after that distance into 8 feet, and then you can see the grades as they come back down again there.
So you should just show that dimension on the
Right.
plans, the 20 foot
Okay,
and 10 foot from
we
the
can do
street.
that.
Okay.
So that just shows the location, and one point I would make is a wooded site and not really removing any trees other than these little yucca here, yucca plants here.
There's one
One here?
here that's really broken in half.
Right, that's a
badly damaged.
badly damaged tree.
Okay.
Okay, this shows the house plan, and the shaded area is what we count livable space, and then the hatched area is the full basement. So that just shows the
Excuse me, the hatched?
hatched area here. I mean diagonally hatched.
Hatch
Oh.
pattern.
What do you call
Okay.
it? Did I call it right, hatched?
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
The different shading that represents the basement. This shows the kind of how we did the square foot takeoff that's on those calculations. This is the proposed elevation of the house. This is the east elevation. As you drive up, you'll see the 2 garages, and the entry path is back here. This is looking at the north elevation. This is up to the entrance there. This patio is this one here. It's orientation. And then this is looking at the excuse me, the rear, I guess, of the house with its chimney, and this other roof back here is this one back here. So you can see it in the distance. You probably won't see it looking that way, but in that type of drawing, you'll be able to see it. Okay. This is the garage work area. We have a 2-car garage, but we also have, you call it a 2-car garage, we have like a recreational vehicle storage on it as well. And the shaded area represents the usable area upstairs that we calculate on the calculations. And that's the garage elevations with the higher garage door for the vehicle, recreational vehicle. And this pitch here, it extends on through this lower pitch, and that's really what you see here from that view. Is this the end of this? Okay, and this is just the slope calculations, which shows you the slope of the site, showing the existing driveway in here, the level pad at the top. You saw pictures of it.
Okay.
This is not part of my property.
Okay. Neighbor.
This is a lot line here.
Okay. All right. Anything else for your presentation?
We want to clarify that this is really to look at the locations, concepts. We haven't yet taken on the elevations, the grades up against the building, which we'll do that on the next presentation. Okay.
Okay. I'd like to open public comment. If there's anyone who has anything to comment about, to come up and share with us. You need to fill out a yellow slip. Nope. I don't see anyone running to the front, so we'll close public comment. Any letters before I close that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, we did receive one letter from Otto and Marcia Engelman, residing at 2414 Calle Mentina, adjoining the property at 1642 and 1654 Calle Canyon. They're writing in support of the proposed project. They're just stating that they have reviewed the plans and feel that it's a nice design for the neighborhood.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else? No? Okay, we'll close public comment. Any comments from staff right about this?
We'll just reiterate the parcel is actually two separate parcels, but it's recognized as one legal lot. And then, of course, the modification, as was read in the description, is for a performance standard permit to allow multiple residential units, to add an additional residential unit on the parcel.
Okay.
Madam Chair, may I ask staff a question? So is this a new project now? Because I thought I remembered this from a couple years ago.
Yes, I just purchased the property.
So that's what I was
they
figuring.
wanted to create 6 lots and build houses up above.
Okay, so this is all brand new.
Much simpler. Yeah.
Very much appreciated by the neighbors, by the way. A lot of the neighbors, one wrote approval, but the others much appreciate this approach than what was
I
proposed
met
before.
about six of the neighbors, and they all had positive feedback to me personally regarding this.
Great.
What did they say?
Well, they were concerned that there might be some building up above the hillside where the oak trees are, and blocking their view and blocking, the open ridge line, affecting that. That was their main concern, and since I'm keeping all of that in its natural state, they were very pleased that, because the prior project involved building up above and building a roadway through the oak trees and cutting down some trees. So this is, much more amicable to everyone I talk to, essentially. So.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the board?
Let's see. First question, or clarification, because I was listening to staff's comment about retaining walls, et cetera, from the front of the street. If I'm scaling this right, Mr. Garcia, that back wall appears to be about 32 feet back. Is that, or at least the highest point would be? Mm-hmm. Is that about correct? And so the road width, if I'm scaling this, is going to be improved up to, looks like 10, 12 feet wide?
You mean this one here?
Yeah. It's about 12 feet wide of improvement?
I think...
here's a scale.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm scaling, if I'm reading it right.
I think the roadway is
I thought it was
going to be 16 feet.
16 feet.
Is it 16
but
feet?
some,
Okay.
according to the fire department, who I spoke with.
Okay, that was my next question. So you've
Yeah.
kind of reviewed this by the
Yes,
fire
they-
department,
this-
and they're
yes.
happy with the turnaround and
Our
all that
staff
stuff?
is,
Yes.
yeah, all the
There is
departments
an
have reviewed
existing
this.
turnaround, and we're just adding a little bit.
Well, I went up onto the site this morning, so I
Yes.
kind of got a good feel for what it looks like. And then there's two addresses at the mailboxes. So are both addresses on this site, or is that this site down here?
Yes, this is considered 1654, the two little
Pointed
houses.
that here.
Pointed over there.
These two here?
And then this is 1642.
Okay, and so then that leads me to my next question. Are the existing houses, that would be C and D and E, are they remaining, or what are you doing to those?
This is becoming we're moving the kitchen. It's going to be a non-residential.
But the structure's going to stay?
Correct.
And then the same with the other two?
The other two would remain as a structure. There's going to be modifications to this structure that came up in the zoning report. So that's going to be, porch area will be removed.
And then it appears that building C, at least from the survey, looks like it's in the setback, or are you going to do you have to get a mod for that, or what? See that little corner? Sits in the, is that part of the?
That's existing.
That's existing.
Existing non-conforming?
Right.
So you don't have to get that blessed or anything?
Any alterations to it?
Okay. So your intention is to some of the, particularly Building E, looks like it needs a lot of TLC, so your idea is to kind of clean those up and...
Yes.
Okay. And the question to staff, when they touch those buildings, whatever they do, even though they're not adding square footage or anything, is that part of our purview? Will we see those? Because they're only single-story structures?
If they had come in with just that project and it was less than 17 feet tall, well, this is in the Hillside Design District, and I think 20% slope, so
Yes.
the whole project is in the purview of the design.
So at some point, we're going to see at least some drawings on those of, we're going to paint that, we're going to
That's right.
fix that door, whatever. So we'll see at some point in this process what they're going to do to those 3 existing houses. Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. I think that's, I had one other question just on the design itself. Building, where's that elevation? Right. I can't find it. I think it's Building A. Yeah, on your west elevation of Building A, you have some windows.
Yes.
Yeah, those kind of, those windows. Where do those sit in relationship to the floor line? How high are those off the floor? I guess that's what I was trying to figure out.
They're probably about, see, this is your floor line of this level here, so they're very close to almost to the roof line.
So they're not a window somebody's actually going to look at?
No, they're really daylight windows coming this way, yeah.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Brian, any questions?
No, I have no questions.
Okay. Bernie?
I probably have a few questions. I've been reading this book. It's how to say everything in 6 words or less. So I'm going to try it. Let's see. Let's see if my microphone's on. How many words is that? Okay. When looking at this site, the neighbors are concerned about, 1, traffic safety or congestions, and so that's a concern. I've had a couple of calls from a couple of neighbors up the street up on Valerio. There's a concern about the retaining wall and how that might change the beautiful natural tree-lined, so we'll maybe talk about that. Another one is, in this one, the basement, as I read it, is not counted in the 85% FAR, so because it's exempt?
I think 50% of it was counted.
50% of it?
Yes.
Okay. Because the question is, in the neighborhood of smaller homes, we have to make sure that size, bulk, and scale guidelines are addressed with a house of this magnitude. That's it.
Okay. Comments?
I'll start. Are these windows existing?
No, this
This
is
is
a
all
new
brand new.
structure.
Brand
And
Yeah. Those look really strange to me. I would recommend that they be more of a vertical rather than, it looks like sideways windows kind of slapped up there, and that I'm very uncomfortable with that look. The other thing is, there's another elevation. Yeah. This window here, I don't know, doesn't feel right either for some reason. I don't know if it's too big or whatever, but the other thing that kind of stuck out to me was on this elevation, I don't know what that means, but I didn't even notice that.
That's a guy with X-ray vision. You can see a guy walking down the
I
stairs.
see. That's the interior. Okay. The roof here kind of sticks out, but doesn't really work on the other side of on this side. It doesn't make quite much sense. So I think there's something funny going on here that needs to be looked at.
this elevation is
Yeah.
really this elevation,
Okay.
this way.
Okay.
These are these here.
I
these
see.
dormers.
I see. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, that answers that. I think that's the one thing that kind of sticks out for me in some of these elements. Like, is there maybe a bracket or something, clarification about the trellis, how that's going to be done?
Could I address the window?
Oh, the ones on the angle. Yes.
Yes, I'm from the East Coast, and I'm trying to create sort of a farm environment, and those are called Vermont windows. I actually brought a couple pictures of them in application.
There you go.
And
okay.
And actually, I was raised in a house with that kind of a window, and I find them very charming, and it makes good use of the space, given that, you know, and essentially.
So it has historical precedent, is what you're saying.
Well, I guess I have an emotional connection with
Emotional precedent.
I've
never seen that
They're
before.
functional. They're
I haven't
called.
either. That's great.
They're called Vermont windows.
Vermont.
Yes, and they're very common in western New York, Vermont.
Well, I was born and raised in California, so you see.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you brought these.
Yeah, very good. Okay, those were my only comments.
Go next.
Sure.
Let's see. One other question. The paving material on the roadway. What do you think?
AC paving.
AC paving. Okay. Well, first of all, on the windows, just to trail. There is a house.
Yes.
There is a house with those windows up above St. Francis Hospital. And the language of that house is basically the same language that's being proposed here. And Gil, I'm sure you probably know where that house is. So there are a couple of houses in town like that. And so I can appreciate it. It's not something that I'm terribly comfortable with, but I appreciate the historical context. So certainly, I don't think we can sit here and say it can't be allowed. But the other thing to note of this site is that, yes, it's not viewable by the close-up residents, but there will be a portion, particularly of Building A, that will be viewed by the houses on the opposite hillside. So it does have some view, but for a good portion of it, it will be hidden from the rest of the neighborhood, particularly because of this heavily forested oak hillside over here. So I would be, it'll be interesting to see what you come back in terms of the proposal of the color of this house, because the house I'm referring to up by St. Francis is kind of a burnt sienna red color in that tradition. There's a house around the corner of our neighborhood, up on Pueblo Street, before you go up to the Mission.
Yeah.
The little house I'm talking about. It actually was probably a stable or something at some time. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what you propose there. I'm actually going to be much more interested in how you're going to fix up the other three houses, because I think the neighbors are they probably know this property pretty well. They're probably going, yes, somebody's going to come in and clean those up and get them all taken care of. And I think they're very appreciative that you didn't walk in with something where we're going to see a 14,000 square foot, 3-story mansion up here. So, and then my last comment would be, and it may be an issue of money. It's certainly easier just to build an 8-foot high retaining wall. And I know, on the measurement based on the staff's comments that you'll be within those guidelines. But you might think about how you treat that wall. Maybe you could, and again, the geometry of the elevations is going to be difficult, but maybe you could break that wall up a little bit. And certainly landscaping or some element that would soften the look of that from the street will probably be, Bernie probably will be looking at that, would be pretty important. But in general, I think it can be a very attractive house for the setting. Kind of will fit in the woods, so to speak. Your Vermont vocabulary is probably a good approach. So again, I'll just be interested in probably the color, some of the detailing, and then certainly what's going to happen to the other three houses.
Bernie?
Madam Chair.
Oh, I love it.
Regarding the wall, what comes to my mind is it is a major impact on the neighborhood because right now it's just natural completely. So then you think about, well, what do other parts of Santa Barbara that are beautiful, what do they have? Sandstone walls with beautiful landscaping, and maybe that is a little costly, but at least where people are going to be driving by and seeing it. I mean, I think if we're going to allow a hillside to be turned into a roadway or a driveway or a big wall with a lot of concrete, we have to look at the aesthetics of it. I'm just wondering, so Calle Cannon, and then the driveway, and then the three houses, and then the new house, and then is there another lot behind number 2? Is number 2, are they going to be using the same road when that comes to us?
I'm not sure. Number 2, you mean this lot?
Mm-hmm.
No, they
have their own
entrance off of Calle Cannon,
They have another entrance
Yes.
off of Calle Cannon.
which is not used. It's an undeveloped acre, and owned by the McGuires, who I purchased this property from.
And did they off Calle Cannon, is it down or up from where you're proposing?
It's up.
It's up.
There's a chain link fence that you can see where there's really no driveway,
Right,
but
yeah.
it's very steep, and I can't see how that could be developed, especially in escrow. They wanted to buy an acre of my property so they would have enough acreage to develop it, and I did not want to do that, so I don't think that is going to be able to be developed because there's an existing house attached to it, and it's a very steep lot. But regardless, they would have access, their own access.
Well, they possibly could, but it would have to be approved. They'd be coming here.
Oh, yes.
After,
Right. But the
this is,
bottom
I'm
line
just
is-
trying to think ahead, because,
Yeah.
and then these people, what's their access?
Calle,
Up here.
Calle Montilla?
Yes.
So that's up in the behind.
correct. It's a first street to the right, and it's pretty much after you crest the hill, and it turns into Flora Vista.
Question for staff. So has transportation looked at this idea of, making basically a new road here? Or a driveway, long driveway, call it what you...
This is an existing driveway. It's there. This is what's
But
new.
it's not paved.
No.
Yes,
I would, since I like the rural feeling of it the way it is, I would love to keep it the way it is, but the fire department insists that.
They,
has to be paved.
They already looked at it and
Yes.
they...
Well, it'll also be reviewed as part of the staff hearing officer planning process, but typically transportation and fire don't approve gravel material. They have to improve it to a current code condition requirement.
It can't be like Costa Rica.
Unfortunately not.
Yeah, this is their this design up here particularly was their maneuverability requirement, so they looked at this very carefully.
All right, well, then, so we'll move on from that. But I do think the bottom part, if we are going to change this whole idea, it needs to be really sensitively handled. And when I was talking to a couple of the neighbors about it, who called me about, they say, I walk. A lot of people walk up Calle Cannon, and they'd love to see some room there, like a little sidewalk or something, to make a way for them to get up and down from the west side to the mesa. But
There is an existing rural sidewalk. It's maybe
it's little, yeah.
small, and personally, I think to put in a typical city sidewalk would take away the rural feeling of the area.
So that was nothing that anybody cares about or
No, this type
suggested.
of application doesn't have the requirement to pursue, I mean, a subdivision might require doing public street improvements, but this sort of application, there's no standard condition to do a sidewalk.
Okay, well then moving on, let's see. Are there going to be horses in, since there's a barn, is it?
Well, I'm planning on getting a tractor and doing farming, my retirement, and so there will be, I would like to have the option of a horse. There were horses in the past, and all the old remnants of the stable of fencing is still there. But, and probably that area would be on this area in here might be a good area for a horse. There's plenty of area in here. But I'm trying to maintain as much the natural feeling, because I find it really beautiful with the meadow and oak trees, and I don't want to develop that and make it unnatural looking, because if anything, just plant some wildflowers. But
Yeah, I think that all makes sense. The reason I'm thinking of it is because I'm pretty sure we had another proposal up Valerio around the corner. So that would probably be, this is going up the hill. This is going, where's Valerio Street?
Oh, down here.
Okay, down here. Yeah, so it's somewhere over here there's going to be a lot of development proposals.
Okay. Yeah,
Just
there is.
for the record, so everybody can get a feeling of
There
what's
is-
happening here.
The lady who owns this property, I believe it is here, subdivided this lot, and it took many, many years, and finally it went through, and the person that has the bottom half of the lot finally got a permit to build one residence on that side. I don't know about the other side of Valerio Street, but
So how did they access their house?
from Valerio
From
Street,
Valerio.
and then there's
Okay.
a little roadway here, and this Y's here, and there's one residence here currently, and this residence here, and then below the Y is where they did the lot split, and I believe the gentleman is developing one residential property there, but that would all be accessed from Valerio Street. And
Okay.
and currently, this is a
Yeah.
illegal residence, so I'll be eliminating that and adding this, so there really won't be any more increase in traffic.
You won't be eliminating the building.
Pardon?
You won't be eliminating the building.
No, but I'll be eliminating it as a
Just
restaurant.
want to make sure it's on the
Yes.
record.
Yes, so there shouldn't really be any impact on
the
traffic,
traffic.
you know.
Well, I would just say, Madam Chair, now that I've been educated, I can support that, because I think that's a really neat concept, and I feel confident that Mr. Garcia will definitely do you justice to that.
Thank you.
Are you done, Bernie? Okay, I'll weigh in here then. I just really think it's an enchanting little project. I like the whole feel, the country feel of it, and the structures. And I like the siding, you know, the clapboard down here with the siding. I think that just really is in keeping with a rural setting. And so you said you wanted to farm. You're going to take care of all these avocado trees and all that. Anything
Yes.
else you're going to do to
I
them?
hope to get a agricultural meter.
I was going to ask you about that.
Correct.
An ag meter. And was that the enforcement case, this house here?
Yes.
Is that what that's about?
And
That
also-
added a couple of little things here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a porch area
Porch in
that
an area.
would be removed.
I see. That's right.
and,
There were minor items that we're going to just take care of. And we'll come back with full elevations of these.
Okay. All right. Well, it looks like it's time for us to make a motion on this project. Who wants to? You want to try it, Brian? All right.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I just want to take and remind you to look to the single-family design board guidelines for section 1.4.1 for the comments on the modification, specifically the language for aesthetic issues and neighborhood compatibility.
Okay. come back, we move to continue the project in 2 weeks or indefinitely, or what are we doing?
What is their choice?
Staff hearing officer?
Yes, 2 weeks would be
2 weeks
fine.
we do it.
Oh, to the student.
To go,
Oh, wait.
I move to the staff hearing officer
Yes.
with the following recommendations. As far as the modification, the board feels that it is aesthetically appropriate. With the proposed modifications, they propose consistency with the single-family design guides, and clarifying exactly what the modification was we were talking about was the
The modification was for the additional dwelling unit on the site. It's a performance standard permit, so the density.
okay.
To add this.
Okay, so yeah, the board approves that. The board appreciates the quality and style of the architecture. The board would like to see some study about the aesthetic retaining wall and the entryway of the driveway, possibly using a sandstone or some kind of look that's very commonly seen in a Santa
And
Barbara
would a
streetscape.
planting, that kind of vine that drapes over
Sure.
above it be
Yeah.
appropriate? Yeah.
Anything that poses so it's not so less
Right.
aggressive onto the streetscape. The consistent appearance is acceptable. It's compatible with the neighborhood. We feel the quality and the architecture and materials are good and consistent. I don't know about landscaping issues. I guess we don't.
Were you going to propose any other landscape? You said not. Maybe some wildflower seed mix, something like that.
Yes, and then right in this entryway, we would have some landscaping in there, but from it starts to drop off in here, and there's already natural growth of, it looks like some kind of succulent ground cover, which is probably good to retain the, prevent any slippage of, and so we would probably just keep that, clean it up a little bit.
We
And,
might like to see what you have in mind there, for landscaping.
So,
Yes.
so we'll come back with a.
Just a portion of a landscape plan, just around the house.
All right.
Right.
Okay, a portion.
Brian, I think, in my mind, what I think I've heard everybody say, they'll probably be the most interested in what the landscaping will be around that
And
retaining
here,
wall.
yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
And the question for that is it appropriate and compatible to just, like if we do something with the sandstone and the natural look the way it is, or are we looking for something more detailed in terms of creating like something whole new?
Well, I'm thinking something that just blends in with the
rural
it's-
side.
Yeah,
yes,
something that
something that's
blends
rural
in.
and
There's some very good
Yeah.
examples up in the Riviera as you drive up, some very good
Yeah,
wall
so I
examples.
think
that
that's-
seems
yeah. So you
to- Yeah.
anyway, I think that's
Sounds good.
Yeah, you're the expert.
and you follow the good neighbor guidelines. So from what I can tell, the neighbors are very happy with what you're doing. So that's my motion. So
Okay.
someone second it.
I'll second that.
Okay. Open for discussion.
So, to the applicant, when you come back, is your intention to try to move for design approval?
Yes.
Then I would add to the motion
Oh, yeah.
that they come back with a color
Board
board,
details.
and the elevations of the other buildings.
Yes.
Everything, lighting fixtures, the garage doors.
And I don't know if you're going to be able to do that in 2 weeks, but if you want to move the
Windows.
project along, that's what we'd be looking for.
Might be difficult 2 weeks, but.
You want to make it indefinitely?
Do you want to do it? you-
Wait.
Well, I'm going to be
It's
gone
going to the staff hearing officer.
Wednesday for 6 days, so would it either, could it be,
It's okay.
4
We're
weeks?
Hold on,
just,
hold on a
we're just
second.
really,
Hold this.
Let's
what we're
staff
dealing
guide
with
us a
right
little
now
bit
is
here. We're just trying to
moving
get you
to
on the right track here.
staff hearing officer, so that, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, the next step is just to proceed to the staff hearing officer. Once you go through that process, get your approvals, then you come do what your refinements that they ask for and resubmit to get back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we don't have to put
Indefinitely.
that on the agenda right now.
Okay. So.
Okay, I seconded. Now, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
Motion
There you go.
passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
we'll keep this one that was on camera, along with your pictures. This is not it. Where is it? What happened to my, wait a second, I gotta find the,
Do you want these
shoot.
back?
What happened to it?
No.
Someone take the, oops. Oh, yes. So I'd like to close today's meeting of the Single Family Design Board for July 2nd.